Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now for the long-awaited Best Man speech, which, much like Chris later this evening, I'm sure will fail to live up to expectation. You will have noticed that there are two best men still up here, but I'd like to reassure anybody that went for a short time on the sweepstake, if you did one, that it definitely doesn't mean double the content. Despite Jack and Ori, Tell Me a Story, being stood to my left. Before we go any further, we should probably introduce ourselves. This is Rob, Chris's early childhood friend, and as Laurie, Chris's dad has always said, the trustworthy one.
Yes.
Afternoon. And this is Dean, Chris's partner in crime from the high school years. Can you all see Dean at the back? I assure you Dean is standing up, people at the back. Dean's the one that, although Laurie and Dean won't admit it, secretly blamed for corrupting their once innocent little boy. I think it's fair to say that we had both been nervous in the build-up to today. Dean, because after his stag do performance, he was unsure about whether he would be in bed with a headache at this point. And me, about whether my trousers would still be in one piece after all the standing up and sitting down during the toasts. But I'd like to start by thanking Chris, on behalf of the bridesmaids, for his kind words. I'm sure you will all agree that the bridesmaids look absolutely gorgeous and have carried out their duties brilliantly. I'm not sure how many martini asties it took, girls.
A lot.
But Kat arrived on time and seemingly cured of any wedding day nerves. So ladies and gentlemen, please be on your feet and join us in raising a toast to the wonderful bridesmaids.
In all fairness, I think the lads have scrubbed up okay today too. Those of you who are on the stag do, obviously that doesn't include you, Stevie, or you, Ray, or have been unlucky enough to see any pictures, will no doubt be as surprised as we were to see that Chris had decided to wear a suit today. Such was the ease at which he slipped on skimpy women's clothing throughout the weekend. However, Chris does look great in his suit today. He puts it down to his recent fitness regime, which Rob reliably informs me now includes one-arm push-ups. Oh, sorry, I might have misread that there. What Rob actually reported is that Chris, after 33 years of trying, has finally managed one full, non-girly push-up without resting on his knees halfway through. Almost worthy of a toast itself. Myself and Rob were put into a cold sweat when Chris mentioned that he'd gone for a smart, slim-fit style suit. But luckily for us, doing up the jackets is apparently not the done thing anymore. It's at this point that we should also thank the ushers, John, Pat, Adam and Matt, for whatever it is you've been doing today. It was a stipulation for the wedding that the ushers weren't allowed to look better than the best men. It was always going to be difficult with John and Pat looking like extras from The Only Way is Essex. But at least we had Adam here to restore the balance. Christopher James Imhoff was born on the 24th of November 1983. He weighed in at a surprisingly average weight of £7 and 8 ounces. What is not surprising is the fact that he had a recorded birth length of 22 inches, with the average baby apparently being just a mere 18 inches. Unfortunately for Chris, we've been reliably informed over the years that his length doesn't necessarily match his height. As most of you are probably aware, Chris was an only child. Growing up without any brothers or sisters meant he quickly had to learn how to entertain himself. Which I'm sure will come in handy now that he's married.
I first met Chris at infant school, aged 5. In what would soon become our regular meeting place by the playground wall. The playground wall at our infant school was otherwise known as the lunchtime detention wall. I should have guessed then that I was in for years of unfortunate mishaps hanging around with this one. The pleasure of knowing Chris for so long has certainly not been without its dangers. Encouragement and motivation have always been some of Chris's biggest qualities. I remember a holiday to Bournemouth with the Imhoff family where Chris and myself decided it would be a good idea to race our push bikes up and down the holiday park. I succumbed to Chris's chance of, go faster Rob, you're hardly moving on that bike, only to end up doing a full-on somersault over the handlebars and landing flat on my back. Poor Dee, Chris's mum, had to patch me up while Chris continued to show off to the yokel young ladies in caravan number 42. As I'm sure you're all aware, Chris likes to think he is good at most sports. However, it is safe to say that at 10 years old, tennis was not his strong point. Whilst attempting a serve during a doubles match, Chris must stop the tennis ball from my head, nearly knocking me out in the process.
It wasn't a mistake.
While waiting in hospital with Chris and Dee, who was rapidly now becoming my very own personal Florence Nightingale, Chris's sympathy was overwhelming. As he said, don't worry Rob, my racket didn't break, so I can still use it at school for PE tomorrow.
I first met Chris when my parents moved house halfway through high school. It just so happened that Chris got the same busy bus as me, and not knowing anyone, I was forced to sit right at the front, away from the cool kids, in the only seat that was left.
Next to Chris, isn't it?
Next to Chris. Little did I know that this chance meeting would lead to years of fun and mischief together. We've enjoyed the agony of following Palace week in, week out together. Raced our Vauxhall Novas around the mean streets of Sutton together.
I didn't know that.
Tried to chat up girls together. No word tried there. Been away travelling to Australia together, and very, very occasionally got drunk together. We once even managed to combine the last two, and due to being drunk in Australia, we earned ourselves an overnight stay at one of Australia's finest all-inclusive hotels. Otherwise known to the locals as Surfers Paradise Police Station. However, being young backpackers on a strict budget, the free breakfast came as a welcome bonus. Like most good friends, we've always been extremely competitive. This has led to our fair share of disagreements over the years. I remember back to times when a petty argument would get out of hand. Chris would call me fatty, and I'd call him big ears. Before we knew it, we'd find ourselves in a vicious duel of headlocks and pinching, before going our separate ways. But sure enough, the next day, Chris would drop me an email from work, and we'd make up. As good mates do, however old. All jokes aside, it's testament to the Chris that the likes of him, myself, Rob and John have stayed good mates for all of these years. It's always been the one to initiate a night out or the first to arrange a gathering to ensure we all keep in touch. I know John would agree with us that Lucky Imhoff, as John affectionately calls him, is one of the best mates you could wish for.
Speaking of lucky, I'm sure you will all agree that Chris hit the jackpot when he managed to convince Kat to go on a date with him. It would be wrong for us to suggest that he abused his position as her manager at Virgin Atlantic. However, there really can be no other explanation. We first had the pleasure of meeting Kat at what we can only assume was her mid-year review, which just happened to take place at the V Festival in August 2009. For Chris to introduce us to Kat so early on in their relationship meant only one thing: this must be really serious. It was soon clear that Kat would pass the best mates test when, standing at the bar, she expertly gained the barman's attention and shouted across the bar, "4 pints of Strongbow please mate." Test passed with flying colours, I'd say. I'm sure you all agree that Kat, you look absolutely stunning today. Myself and Dean feel very lucky to not only know you as Chris's better half, but would also view you as an extremely good friend. So ladies and gentlemen, please be on your feet again and join us in raising a toast to the beautiful bride, to Kat.
Thank you.
No, nearly there, nearly there, nearly there. There's no doubt that Chris and Kat make a perfect couple, whose relationship has only been strengthened by the arrival of their two beautiful daughters, Belle and Emily. Kat, myself and Rob know firsthand that you're joining a fantastic family, as Laurie and Dee have done so much for me and Rob over the years. With this in mind, we're sure you can all look forward to a long and happy future together. So, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be pleased to know the speech is coming to an end. The food, the dance floor and the bar are called in, so please, be on your feet. Last time, I promise. And all join us in a toast to the new Mr. and Mrs. Imhoff. Time to relax.
I know.